Hello and welcome back to Cowboys Insiders and Cowboys Nation. And a huge welcome to every single one of you joining us today to Cowboys Insiders. No matter where you are watching from around the world, we truly appreciate you for being a part of the fastest growing Dallas Cowboy community on this platform. If you love a breaking Dallas Cowboy news, NFL rumors, a roster update and trade discussions, a free agencies move, NFL draft coverage, game analysis, and everything happening around American team, then you're absolutely on the right place here. The energy around the Dallas Cowboy line now is unbelievable, and today we have got some major updates to talk about involving the roster, off-season moves, coaching decisions, salary cap situation, rising star, veteran leaders, and what would be one of the most important seasons in recent Cowboy history. Expectations are sky high in the Dallas, and fans everywhere are waiting to see if this season can finally make a serious Super Bowl run. So before we jump into today a huge Dallas Cowboy news, make sure you hit that on subscribe button and also make sure you turn on notifications and join the Cowboys Inside family so you never miss any breaking updates surrounding a Dak Prescott, a CeeDee Lamb, a Micah Parsons, a George Pickens, and the entire Cowboys organization. We post the latest Dallas Cowboy content every single day, and trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next to the Dallas Cowboy. The Dallas Cowboy are entering the 2026 NFL season with a massive expectation surrounding the franchise, and the organization is clearly showing the signs that it wants to make another serious Super Bowl run this year. After several seasons of falling short into playoff, owner of the Dallas Cowboys Jerry Jones and the Cowboys front office have been extremely aggressive during the offseason, making a roster adjustment, restructuring a contract, and also improving a depth on both sides of the ball, and also trying to build championship caliber team that can compete with the best teams in the NFL. One of the biggest storylines around the Cowboys right now is a pressure surrounding a franchise quarterback, Dak Prescott. So the veteran quarterback remains the leader of the offense and one of the most important players in the entire organization. Dallas recently made financial moves involving a Prescott contract structure in order to create additional salary cap flexibility, allowing the front office to continue adding a talent around him. The Cowboys understand that the windows to compete for the championship with a Prescott under a center will not stay open forever, and the organization appears determined to maximize every opportunity during this current era. Dak Prescott is expected to lead an offense that could become one of the most explosive units in the NFL in this season of 2026. And the Dallas already possesses a elite offensive firepower, but the addition and development of a new offensive weapon has created even more excitement among the Cowboys. A wide receiver CeeDee Lamb remains the centerpiece of the passing attack and continues to establish himself as one of the top receivers in the football, which is NFL. His alert running ability, separation speed, yards after catch production, and the red zone efficiency make him one of the most dangerous offensive players in the NFL. And also another major talking point surrounding the Cowboys' offense is a wide receiver George Pickens. The talented receiver has generated enormous attention throughout off-season because of his big play ability and physical style of the play. Reports indicate that the Dallas views Pickens as the critical part of the offense moving forward, and many analysts believe he could become one of the Prescott favorite deep threat targets during upcoming season. So George Pickens brings explosiveness to a vertical passing game, and his ability to strengthen defenses could open up even more opportunities and length of the lamp. Tight ends and running back in the Cowboys' offensive system. NFL analysts are already discussing the possibilities that Dallas may have one of the strongest receiving corps in the football. If both CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens perform at the highest level together, offensive coaches are reportedly focusing heavily on improving the team downfield passing attack, play action execution, and red zone scoring efficiency. The Cowboys want to become more unpredictable offensively and create mismatches against opposing secondaries every single week. The Cowboys coaching staff also appear committed to improving the running game, which has been inconsistent at the time over the last few seasons. The Dallas Cowboys understand that the balanced offensive scheme is essential for the playoff football and establishing a reliable ground attack that would reduce pressure on a Prescott while also controlling a tempo of a game. Coaches are emphasizing offensive line chemistry, run blocking, and situational football throughout off-season preparations and training activities. On the defensive side of the football, the Cowboys are going through what many insiders are calling defensive reset. So Dallas used the 2026 NFL Draft to strengthen a multiple defensive positions, especially in areas involving a pass rusher, a depth, a linebacker, and a speed and defensive versatility. And the organization believes that improving the front seven will help the team to compete against a elite offenses throughout the NFL. One player receiving a significant attention this offseason is a linebacker DeMarvion Overshawn. Coaches and team executives have spoken positively about his development, athleticism, and leadership potential. Overshawn has reportedly approached the offseason with a tremendous focus, especially knowing that this period could be extremely important for a long-term future with the franchise. Many Cowboys fans believe he could become one of the emotional leaders of the defense during 2026 season. And the Cowboys defense is still expected to rely heavily on speed, aggressive, and creating turnovers. Dallas wants to generate consistent pressure on opposing a quarterback while forcing mistakes throughout aggressive defensive play calling. Defensive coordinators are reportedly focusing on improving third down efficiency, tackling discipline, and red zone defense after some inconsistent performances in a key moments last season. Dallas has also continued adding a veteran depth throughout free agencies. One notable addition is veteran wide receiver Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who signed with the Cowboys to provide additional speed and experience to an offense. His presence creates more competition in training camp and gives the Cowboys another potential field-stretching option. The front office believes a veteran depth could become extremely important over the course of the long NFL season filled with injuries and roster adjustment. The Cowboys front office has also spent a considerable time managing the salary cap situation. Several contracts were restructured in order to create a financial flexibility for the future moves in the Dallas Cowboys. So the Dallas understand that the maintaining competitive roster in today's NFL require careful cap management, especially when a multiple star players are involved in signing of a new contract. So the organization appears willing to remain aggressive financially if it believes the current roster has legitimate championship potential. And another major area of focus for the Dallas Cowboys is a team culture and mental toughness. Coaches have repeatedly discussed the importance of accountability, discipline, leadership, and finishing games under the pressure. For years, critics have questioned whether the Dallas could handle the intensity of play football against a nearly opponent. As a result, much of the off-season messaging from inside of the organization has centered around improving execution in a critical moments and developing a stronger playoff mentality. Training camp expectations are already extremely high. Cowboys fans are eager to see how quickly the new offensive pieces develop chemistry and together, and whether the younger defensive players from the draft can contribute immediately. Internal competition at several roster spots is expected to be intense, which coaches believes will ultimately strengthen the entire team heading into a regular season. There is also growing excitement surrounding the Cowboys' schedule and the potential playoff positioning in the NFL, so the conference remains highly competitive with several powerhouse franchises expected to contend for a postseason success. However, the Dallas believes it has enough talent to compete with anybody if the roster stays healthy and performs consistently throughout the year. So many NFL analysts believe this season could define the future direction of the Cowboys franchise and a deep playoff run, which would strengthen a confidence in the current roster construction and coaching approach. And also, the another disappointing postseason exit, however, could create enormous pressure throughout the organization and potentially lead to major changes in a future season. Despite the pressure, optimism remains extremely high around the Cowboys organization. The team possesses star power, offensive explosiveness, defensive speed, veteran leadership, and young talent capable of making an impact immediately in the NFL, especially in the Dallas Cowboys. The franchise clearly believes that the pieces are finally coming together for a serious championship push. One of the biggest talking points surrounding the Dallas remain a quarterback, Dak Prescott, and expectations placed on him entering another critical season. Prescott continues to face enormous pressure because the Cowboys have invested heavily in him as the face of franchise, but fans are demanding a postseason result instead of a regular season dominance. Inside a league cycle Many executives still believe Dak is one of the most efficient quarterbacks when protected by a stable offensive line and supported by a balanced run game. However, critics continue pointing towards a turnover in a key moment, a red zone inconsistencies, and struggles against elite playoff defenses as the major concerns that the Dallas must overcome if they want to make a deep January run. The Cowboys coaching staff reportedly spent much of the offseason studying ways to evolve the offensive scheme into a more explosive and unpredictable attack. Expect more pre-snap motions, heavier use of the play action concepts, quicker tempo packages, and expanded vertical route tree designed to maximize mismatches against opposing secondaries. Dallas understands the modern NFL is built around offensive flexibility, and sources around the league believes the Cowboys want to create an offense capable of attacking a defenses at every level of the field instead of relying too heavily on isolation routes and conservation sequencing. A huge reason for optimism remains a superstar wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, who has evolved a yards after catch explosiveness and the ability to line up both outside and in the slot make him almost impossible to game plan against for a 4 quarters. Coaches inside the organization reportedly want to move him around even more this season to create leverage advantages and force defenses into unfavorable coverage looks. League scouts believe Lamb is entering the absolute prime of his career, and there is growing feeling that the Dallas may build the entire offensive identity around his versatility moving forward. Meanwhile, the Cowboys running back room continues to be one of the most heavily debated units on the roster. So the Dallas has clearly been searching for a more explosiveness and consistency after struggling to establish a dominance on the ground in critical games that season. NFL insiders believe the organization wants more physical or downhill rushing identity combined with outside zone speed concept that can strengthen defenses horizontally. So the front office also appear committed to improving a short yardage efficiency. So something that became the frustrating weakness during a key moment last year. Analysts expect a Dallas to continue evaluating veteran market options while simultaneously developing a younger back who fits the new offensive philosophy. The offensive line remains another central storyline because protecting a Dak Prescott has become one of the franchise's top priorities. So injuries and inconsistencies affected the unit of different points last season, but the Cowboys still believe they possess foundational pieces capable of restoring a dominance in trenches. Dallas scout and the coaches have emphasized versatility, athleticism, and cross protection intelligence while evaluating alignment throughout the offseason. The organization reportedly wants to build the unit into a faster and more adaptable group capable of handling modern defensive pressure packages, especially against an elite NFL pass rusher. Defensively, the Cowboys continue building around superstar edge rusher Micah Parsons, who remains one of the most feared defenders in football. The Parsons has completely transformed the identity of the Cowboys defense with his unerring burst, crossing a speed pass rusher versatility and relentless motor. Opposing offensive coordinator now build entire protection plans around limiting his impact, yet he still consistently creates pressure and game-changing plays. Around the league, many believe Parsons is not only the cornerstone on the Cowboys defense but also one of the few defenders capable of completing talking over a playoff game by himself. There is also growing excitement surrounding a Dallas defensive depth and hybrid personnel packages. Coaches reportedly want to create a more disguised look before the snap, giving a quarterback fewer opportunities to identify the coverages and blitzes early. The Cowboys defense has become increasingly positionless in a certain situation, with a linebacker and safety expected to rotate responsibilities depending on matchups. That flexibility could become one of the biggest strengths of the roster if a younger defender continues developing at the pace the organization expects. So another major focus this offseason has been improving a run defense, especially after several physical dominance. Opponents exposed weakness in the front seven during a critical stretches of the previous season. Dallas Cowboys understand that playoff football often becomes a battle of the physical in the trenches, and there is reportedly strong emphasis on adding a tough interior defenders capable of controlling gaps and collapsing lashing lanes. Coaches want a more disciplined unit that can maintain aggressions without sacrificing assignment integrity. The Cowboys front office, led by the owner Jerry Jones, continues to face enormous pressure from fans demanding a return to championship relevance. So Jones has repeatedly emphasized that the organization remains fully committed to winning now. And insiders around the NFL believe Dallas could continue making aggressive roster moves if opportunities arise during training camp or the regular season. The franchise understands that the patience among the fan base is wearing thin after years of the playoff disappointment, despite a strong regular season record. One of the most interesting aspects of the Cowboys offseason is how much attention the franchise has placed on leadership and locker room culture. Coaches reportedly want a stronger accountability across the roster, especially in high-pressure moments late in the games. So the veterans have been challenged to create a more disciplined and mentally resilient environment capable of handling adversity when expectations rise. So the Dallas has talent that has never been the issue. The really question is whether this roster can finally translate a potential into a postseason execution. The NFC landscape is also becoming increasingly competitive, which means a Dallas cannot afford the regulation. Teams across the conference continue improving through the draft and free agencies, and coaching changes are putting even more urgency of the Cowboys to maximize their championship window immediately. The analyst believes that the Cowboys roster still possesses enough innate talent to compete with any team in football, but consistent health and late season execution will ultimately determine whether this group become legitimate Super Bowl contender or another talented team that falls short under pressure. As a training camp approaches, or the expectation around the Dallas Cowboys remain enormous. Every practice lap, every death chat battle, and every contract negotiation and every preseason performances will be analyzed intensely because this franchise lives under a spotlight unlike almost any other organization in sport. Fans are desperate to see team capable of dominating physically, executing efficiently, and finally breaking through the postseason barrier that have haunted the organization for years. Exactly what we are going to break down today in the Dallas Cowboy. So we are going to go through every major move, every key picks, and what it all means for the future of the Dallas Cowboy and the owner of the Dallas Cowboy, Jerry Jones. Are they building a championship defense? Are they making the right decision in the Dallas? And the most important, are the Cowboys finally ready to compete again at the highest level? So sit back, relax, and stay locked in because this is Cowboy Insiders, and today we are diving deep into the Dallas Cowboy 2026 NFL Draft Journal. The 2026 NFL Draft has officially kicked a night, and from the very first moments, it became clear that this year's events would be defining turning points for the several franchises. Among the teams drawing the most attention early on were the Dallas Cowboy franchise under intense pressure to bounce back after disappointing 2025 season. With expectations high and fans demanding change, Dallas entered the draft with a clear sense of urgency and strategy that quickly began to unfold in dramatic fashion. Coming off 7-9-1 record, the Cowboys knew that standing still was not an option. The front office, led by the owner Jerry Jones, had already hinted in the off-season that significant roster adjustments were coming. But no one could have predicted just how aggressive and focused the approach would be once the draft began. Rather than playing it safe, the Dallas made broad moves that signaled a complete commitment to reshaping the identity of the team. Particularly on the defensive side of the ball, the first major moments for the Cowboys come early in the first round. Not content with the original draft position, the Dallas executed a strategic trade to move up the board, targeting one of the most highly regarded defensive prospects in entire class, Caleb Downs. Widely considered, Caleb Downs as the one of the smartest and the most versatile safeties available. Caleb Downs brings innate football intelligence, exceptional awareness, and ability to impact games immediately. His presence in the secondary is expected to address one of the Dallas' biggest weaknesses from last season, where a blown coverage and inconsistent safety play often cost them crucial games.